Here we go. So we just signed. We just closed on our first flip. There we go. We're at the title office. So this deal almost didn't close. Actually, something really crazy happened, especially during inspection. We almost lost 40 grand. Deal almost quit, but you know what? We signed today. We get our money. But let me show you real quick why this thing almost didn't close. So I'm here at my first flip, and these freaking papers right here, well, almost cost me $35,000. In fact, we're days away from closing, and the entire deal just about terminated. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna explain what happened in these papers, explain, you know, how we were about to lose $40,000 coming off of our top line. If you've been following me, we were looking at about an $83,000 profit. Now that was gonna be basically cut in half just because of an inspection. So I'll teach you exactly what happened in there, how you can look for it, how you can save $40,000. And I also get the guy on the phone who did this freaking paperwork to try and, you know, obviously get his explanation, but explain something that we did in here. So you're gonna hear a really raw interview with basically a foundation expert, a structural engineer, and go through his paperwork here. And then what I was able to do to not only save this deal and make it close, but save us probably about $30,000 to profit. So I was sick to my stomach. I wanted to quit. I wanted to completely give up on flipping, and I turned that around to pretty positive, and I think we're gonna close. So let me bring you in here in a minute, guys. I'm gonna talk about this really quick in here, and then I'm gonna go to that phone call. You've probably never heard a phone call like this on YouTube before, so I'm anxious for you guys to watch it. But right here, we're in the living room, and I'm gonna put these papers down real quick. I'm gonna turn you around real quick. Right here, we had the inspection done. Minor things came up, nothing too big. I'm sorry for any inspector out there. This guy was a goober, and I could just tell right away. But anyways, he put down, this is a Texas house, so we've got a concrete foundation. Concrete foundations are pretty, you know, normal anywhere. But he put his equipment down to test basically the slab to see if it's been sunk. Well, right here, and you can't feel it, but right here, in fact, if we look on the drawing, and I'm gonna actually go, you know what, let's go to the studio really quick and I'll show you what I'm talking about on the drawing. All right, so we're in the studio here. In fact, I'm gonna get you right over here and we're gonna check out this paper real quick. If you're enjoying this very raw from a rookie YouTube channel doing all these videos, if you would, the only thing that's helping me right now is giving me a like. Some of you are commenting, how are you not getting more views? Well, you guys gotta like these videos. So what we'll do, we're gonna jump right over here. Now, as you guys saw, we were in the living room, right? And the kitchen. So this is the drawing, here's the kitchen, here's the living room. And if you can see this right here, this is that hump that I keep referencing and talking about. And what he did is he wrote 12.5. Now, the one thing about this structural engineer compared to, you know, other ones is that he kind of uses these weird bigger numbers instead of like having a reference point and then how far it's out. See, you got to do a little math here, but it all makes the same sense. With that being said, he basically established that this was the best part of the foundation, and from there, he said there is a trend. We're gonna hear the phone call here in a little bit, and we're gonna go through it, but going to this corner here, from here is 3.5 inches. So that was one of the big ones right there. See if I can write upside down. And that also put these all out of tolerance. All of these were more than an inch. So this entire house, every single corner and edge, all needed piers, all needed to be, you know, jacked up internally and externally to get up to this level. And that was basically his recommendation. And we're gonna hear his thought behind this, and you're actually gonna hear me get super deflated and wanna quit. But I just wanted you to see this drawing, and then what we'll do is we're gonna reference this with another drawing here real quick of another guy or another engineer in just a little bit. But this is what they said is basically the entire house, the entire way around needed to be brought up to level. So what do? We got to go back in the house. I got to tell you something else. So let's go. So as you saw there, we have the sheet right here, and right in the center is that 12.5 inches that I was talking about. So right here is where he put his box, and that means that the whole front of the house and the whole side of the house was down somewhat of 3.5 inches. And as you saw all around the edge here, you know, down 1.5 inches. So he's like, dude, you need to jack this whole thing up. And basically, well, I've got the paperwork and we'll go look at it and I'll tell you exactly how much it's gonna cost. All right, so not only was it about 40 grand, I think it probably, you know, had we had to raise that the foundation, it's probably like a 50, 60, $70,000 cost. So let's show you how much this is and where he came from. And yes, my kids are complete buttholes, little kids, and they stepped all over my paperwork in my van with their dirty shoes. But basically what he's talking about, you know, throughout this whole report, you've got, you know, 1.5 to 3.5 inches all throughout. And what he recommended is actually right here. So 43 external, yes, it's really dirty right there. 43 external supports and 19 internal supports. That would cost approximately $35,000, not including plumbing repair or floor replacement. So now what happens when you jack up that foundation, and I'm not gonna sit here and talk about like I'm a professional at this. I just talked to my contractor. He used to do this, and he said, once you start jacking up on that foundation, you're gonna pop your sewer lines, you're gonna pop your water lines, like all that needs to be replaced. The drywall's gonna crack, the windows are gonna break. Like there's a lot of shit that goes wrong with it, or that can go wrong. And now we've already done all the work. So you typically want to find these, you know, at the beginning. We just never felt it. And so that's where my contractor's like, Jackson, I'm telling you right now, I've been in hundreds of properties. You don't feel anything with this foundation. Like I know that stuff like the back of my hand, and I used to do it. You need to get other people in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I have video of him. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to bring up his report, but it was very pertinent to get those extra, you know, eyeballs and extra reports done. So why don't we just head back into the video and I'll just continue explaining this to you. All right, so almost 50 piers, $35,000 worth of work. And not only that, the buyers, well, they were a little bit timid, a little nervous, wanting to almost back out of this deal. So here's what we did to fix it. I've got another quote. And what I did is basically I called up Joe, Hard Money. I'm calling him Hard Money Joe. He's the one who's been helping me with the hard money calculator. He's done 100 flips, and I called him and I'm freaking out. And he goes, dude, do you need a foundation guy? I said, yes, I need one. My contractor's got some too. But he goes, I have the best guy. He goes, I'll bet you a lunch that he's gonna come in under 10,000 bucks on that if there needs to be work done. I said, perfect, send him. The guy came out that day. I met him here, and I started explaining what happened. Now, here's one thing that we didn't discuss, and obviously, you know, the structural engineer, when he was explaining everything, you know, was talking about how sloped it was. So what I'm actually gonna do, I'm gonna tell you how I got over this, how I explained it to the new structural engineer, but I think you need to hear this phone call real quick. And what I was talking about in the phone call is right here, you're seeing it with the pictures and the video, we added 3 inches of concrete right there because there was a big step right there. So right here in this doorway, right across here was this big step about 3 inches down, and we couldn't even put filler in there. We had to do concrete all throughout here, but we sloped it down to nothing at that edge because we couldn't go 3 inches up on the door. So if that makes sense, we've got basically a 3-inch drop here. So I thought, shoot, that's the problem if it's all the front end. I hadn't seen the report yet, so I called the structural engineer, and well, let's let him explain it really quick.
This is Tony.
Hey, Tony, my name's Jackson. I own that residence over 2123 in Kingwood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, I saw the
Wait, hold it. What street is it?
Southern Pines.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to just call. I know that there was a significant slope from in the entryway from the living room to the front door. Well, I don't know if you have an email or something I can send you. What wasn't told to you is that there was like a 3 or 4 inch lip from the entryway to the living room because they used to these like massive stones in the entryway. So what we did is we actually poured concrete, like a lot of concrete, to level that up so there wasn't this like awkward 3 inch, you know, ledge there. And we couldn't do 3 inch all the way to the door because we would have went up in the door. So we sloped it straight down. And I have video evidence or all the documentation of that.
Have you seen my report?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Are you looking at the drawing?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out.
Okay, it's a topographical survey, so it's just like a topographical survey of a mountain range.
Yeah.
And it shows where it's high, where it's low, and the shape and contour, the shape and pattern of it. Different elevations, like the drop downs, they're all corrected to match and figure out how it's bending. What we're looking for is how's the concrete bending.
Okay.
There's 2 things it could be. It looks like it bent and moved over time. I mean, it's a pretty old house. I don't remember when it was built, but
70s.
it was built 70s. Was that it?
Yeah.
So it was built in the 70s, so it's pretty old. I don't know when or how or why it moved, but it appears to have moved. There's not a lot of cracking, but there's definitely a pattern. So what we're looking for, we look at 4 different things. One is, first thing is we look to see if it's got a normal floor differential from high to low, because a brand new house usually has about an inch. A house that's been sitting there for a couple of decades is going to have an inch and a half, and that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
And they all move and bend and crack. So we're not greatly concerned about that. But so we look to see if it's normal. I think this one, what was it, 3 something? It's at the top of the drawing.
Yeah.
3.5 or something.
Yeah.
So it's abnormal. We just chalk it up. We don't say, it's bad or needs repair yet. We just say that's abnormal. Then we look at the floor slopes, how steep it is. Walk across a room 15 feet and I go down an inch. That's where we say, this isn't normal. They don't make them like this unless they make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we check the floor slope. I think yours was 1 in 8 feet or 6 or 8 feet, something like that. So that's abnormal. We just chalk it up. Okay. Yeah, that's abnormal too. Then we look at the pattern. How is it moving? What's the shape of it? So there's definitely a shape, and it's more than the entryway. It has nothing to do with the entryway. It's a shape of the pattern of the entire slab is one big chunk of concrete. So it has a shape, it has a pattern. And the last thing we look at is cracking and basically cracking and doors crooked and things like that. So we look at that. The first 3 things you have are greatly abnormal. I mean, people start calling before it gets that bad, usually. So the first 3 are chalked up as abnormal, abnormal, abnormal. The last thing is we don't really see damage. We don't really see distress, cracking, doors way out. So you're missing the 4th element. And that's why I don't recommend supports right now, because you're missing that 4th element, and I don't know what's going on. So in these cases, I normally recommend monitoring it for a year, because I can't certify it as being stable unless I monitor it for a year or more. And if I come back after a year or 2 years, take a survey, and it's exactly the same, I'm going to say, probably best to just leave it the way it is. It's abnormal. It devalues the property because it has these abnormalities, and you have to somehow convince a buyer or whoever that it's stable or that it was built crooked. We really don't know. All I can tell my clients is that it's got some risk to it. And when I say risk, I'm talking about financial. It's got some financial risk to it.
Mm-hmm.
If they buy this house and then 5 years down the road they want to sell it, they've got to convince somebody that it's okay. Even though it's abnormal, it's okay. And some people are going to come in and be more picky than others and say, even if it's okay, I don't want it because it's just abnormal. So it does reduce the value of the property because of the abnormalities.
Yep.
And my comment in there about repair currently is based on the survey. If that thing is moving and I'm looking at the pattern of movement, how much of the house is moved or how much is crooked. That's where the repair, based on the current layout, is quite large. I mean, it involves most of the house because the pattern involves most of the house. So, it's just an unfortunate situation, and I have no way to verify that it's actually stable. It may be just sitting there. I don't know.
Okay.
So,
alrighty. Yeah. Well, I get. So what it's showing is you have a circle in the middle, like in between the living room
and the kitchen.
and that's kind of your high point.
Yes, that's the high.
And then towards all the front of the house is where it's dipping down.
Well, it goes all directions from there. It goes front, back, sides. It goes down in all directions from the circle.
Right.
From the high point.
Yeah,
so,
and the lowest is definitely the front. Because I see from the living room to the front is that 11.5 to 9. So there's a 2.5 right there. Okay.
Yeah, and that would involve full perimeter, all the way around the perimeter. And with the pattern, if the pattern of movement is moving supports, so that's why the interior supports are mentioned, because the pattern actually goes in, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 feet. You know, it goes in quite a ways from the front. So the pattern is bigger than just the edge.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah. So that's what we're looking at.
Alrighty, well, I will take that info and we'll go with it.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm sorry about the situation. It's an unfortunate situation, but I hope it works out okay for everybody.
Alrighty. Well, perfect. Thank you, Tony.
All right. Thank you. All right, bye.
Bye. Well, that didn't make me feel any better. It's funny, your first flip and you just set the record, but at least we're not losing money, you know, at this point. What they want is $20,000 off and a bunch of stuff fixed, so we're still up, but I think we can negotiate that a little bit. I think my next plan of action is getting with my contractor and have him come in with some other quotes of what it would cost if they were to do this work, because he's not recommended to do anything right now, just let it sit and then monitor it over time. But I do get his point. You know, if I was buying the property, I'd probably be, you know, saying the same thing. So I don't want to be like pissed and, oh, I should, you know, this isn't right, and that you got to put yourself in everybody's shoes. But you can hear my tone change a little bit. At the end of the day, we just got to keep moving forward. You know, we'll still make money regardless of what happens, but it ain't that initial, you know, big one. It's going to get into the, you know, bottom line a little bit. Again, I think what I'll do is get a couple other quotes. We have, they took so long to get this back to us that now we have the weekend to try and get some other quotes of other contractors. The one thing I heard is this guy is the most astronomically priced, period. So most of the other reports I've heard is like, dude, it's not going to be nowhere near 35 grand. So if I can get a couple quotes from other companies of like, look, these guys are all saying it's significantly less, that can help us on that 20 grand. And then from there, my goodness, I get it. As an agent, you probably put all this stuff in there, you know, to try and get some of it done, but it's just like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Look at this. You got all these line item repair, and they're all, you know, add a chimney cap, weather strips needed, caulking, all that kind of stuff. So anyways, what I'm going to do, keep working on this, and then I'm going to just deliver it back to you guys so you guys will see everything involved. But first flip, hit a home run, and then all of a sudden, get knocked down a little bit. That must be the life of a flipper. Damn. Okay. So I'm in my feelings right now. If you would, a bunch of likes on this video would help me feel better. Please just like this video to get out to more people, and I'll report back to you guys with what happens next. So as you heard there, it was an absolute gut punch. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I want to be really raw. That was the moment where I was like, F this, dude. Like, I can't handle this. If this is the kind of shit that's going to keep popping up, like, I was deflated, you know, and you hear all these flippers. They're doing hundreds of flips and no problems. Man, this is our first one. This is our baby. And then to just get hit like that, and this dude's like, sorry, man. It's just bad luck. Well, I kind of, you know, had my pity party for a little bit. I almost didn't even want to tell my wife, and then I said, screw it. So I called Joe, and I got his structural engineer out here. He showed up, and I explained all of this right here. Now, the next thing that he did, he came in and he goes, I don't feel any slope. Like, when you're in this house, you don't feel any slope. You don't feel anything. So he started getting reference points, the RPs, right? And thought I heard someone coming in. And he started reading it. And so what he came up with, he goes, you know what? He goes, this house is all basically, you know, pretty level. He goes, you've got a really high spot right here. He goes, it's a hump in the floor. And so he decided to go right here with a reference point. And in that corner, he goes, yeah, there's no way that the whole house is sagged this much. He goes, the bricks on the outside would be cracked. Everything would be out of line. He goes, back in the, you know, this is the 70s, 50 years ago, they didn't have laser levels or nothing. It was just straight up pouring concrete. He said, right there is just a big old high spot. And I mean, you can't see it, you can't feel it. But this spot that I'm standing in right now, you know, is so much higher than everything else. So if we look at this other drawing right here, this is drawing number 2, and we'll go to the studio. and I will explain this one. All right, so we're back in the studio. I'm gonna show you drawing number 2. But real quick, if you would, comment down below, what would you have done in this situation? If you've got experience in flipping, can you please comment down below so that I and all of the other viewers who are brand new at this can read what you would have done in this situation. So now, we gotta go check out this one, which is upside down. Let's get her straight. And again, my kids are buttholes and they walked all over it. And I probably could have printed off clean ones, but hey, who cares, right? Now, this is what I need you guys to see. Here's the garage. This area right here is living room. And this right here, this is gonna be your kitchen. So what he's saying is, look, you've got a hump right here. I can feel it, you know, and you don't feel it too much, but that's where he was like, I'm telling you right now, that's just a hump, and I would break that out. The rest of it all feels pretty good. So right here, I kind of colored over it. That's his reference point, which was the corner of the living room. And from there, as you can see, basically this whole side, my hand keeps knocking it out of fuzz here, I'm seeing. This whole side over here now is all within tolerance. In fact, a lot of it was basically level. So that basically eliminates this whole entire side, but I still ran into some issues over in this corner and the front. And that's where he was saying at max, which the other guy did, he said the same. He was saying 3.5 inches. This guy has it at about 1.5 inches. So that's what he was saying is like, look, this is a little bit low, you know, the whole front and all that, but you know, it's not 3.5 inches out. So we're sitting there in the living room and he goes, I don't really feel it. And he goes, let me go outside and check the foundation and look at everything. And you could just see him. He's like, man, something's up. So he goes, I think what happened, and I'm gonna explain this a little bit more in the video, is that basically, you know, it's an uneven pour. He goes, I'm not gonna touch this thing for a couple years. And in fact, the last structural engineer, the first one, he said the same thing. I recommend not touching it. It could be a bad pour. So both structural engineers basically said, look, don't touch it for 2 years and then see if it settles some more, and that's when you need to do something. But both of them were kind of like, man, it just seems like a bad pour. Well, especially this guy. So anyways, we will you know, talk about how much this quote was compared to the first one, but I also got some video with him out there. But we're gonna go back to the video and show you exactly what he went through. Now, this is important for you guys. This is deal killers. This is tens, if not $50,000 to your bottom line, to your profit, if you can't handle these things. So now you'll be able to go into these things, and the first thing you check, which little cheat code I actually videoed yesterday in a property, the first thing we noticed was the foundation was out. So now it's in my brain. See, I'm brandy new at this whole flipping game, but I'm starting to learn every time I do it. And instead of sitting on the sideline for 2 years, listening to podcasts and reading books, you got to just throw yourself into there and start doing shit. And I'm learning. So enough of that talk. Let's get back to the video. How's it looking?
So like I said, right?
Yeah.
My reference point, then go 0, 0, 0s, we're okay.
Is that 0.3
Still,
inches or how many?
0.3 is 0.3.
Okay.
That's 0.5. 0.3, 0.5. It's half inch.
Okay.
It's still intolerant. The only thing is here, this hump.
Okay.
This drop, 1 inch.
Yep.
Then 1.7, 1.5 in the stairs.
So that's the concrete that we poured to level it.
Concrete you pour to level
Okay.
it. And this side goes
One
minus
point.
0.3, 0.7, 1.8 in the corner.
Okay, so
Almost
this
2
is the
inches.
lowest corner right here.
That's the lowest corner, almost
Okay.
2 inches.
Okay.
But if we have this reference point, it's 3,
I got you.
right? And then 0.7, 1.2, 1.7, 1.8. The thing is, if we level that side, like I say, they pour the concrete like that since they made the house. We're gonna break, and it's gonna be like uneven.
Uneven.
Yes.
So you almost recommend, the hump is what the bad part is. You break
If
that
we
concrete out.
Break the concrete and make it even.
Then you'd be in.
Will be in tolerance all the side.
Okay.
But the thing is, the lowest point's over here.
Yeah.
You can't feel that.
Yeah, you can't
because
feel
if
it.
you walk, it's straight.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
You can't feel any slopes.
So what do you recommend? I mean, is it just kind of how it is?
I think, like the engineer says, leave it as is
Yeah.
and check on like in the next year.
Yeah.
If not, the second year, and if it changed or it went down, it's foundation issue.
Okay.
If not, they pour the slab like it is.
What do you say tolerant is? So tolerance is 1.5 inches?
No, tolerance can be half inch.
Okay.
Right? From my 0, half inch,
Yep.
it's still in the tolerance. But not 1 inch.
Yes.
And not 1.7.
Okay, perfect.
But like you said, you pour concrete here.
Yeah.
And you made like slope.
Yeah, that could be part of
That
it.
could be part of it.
But this part, so, and then can you give me a quote on like if you were to have to level this?
yes.
Okay.
we'll have to bust inside. I think you might rather break this concrete again,
Okay.
or we can make it even too. At least
Yeah.
tolerance, half inch.
Yeah.
Break inside, outside, or this left side
Yep.
and front.
Okay.
I'll send you this quote
Perfect.
and break the hump.
And break the hump out.
Yes.
Which, yeah, okay.
Which we have to break tile,
Yep.
concrete, and then level it with some
Perfect.
concrete.
Yeah, and to me, I mean, if I don't have a foundation issue, I wouldn't break the middle if I don't feel it. But it's weird, huh?
Well, the hump, you can tell that it
Yeah.
goes up a little bit, then goes down.
Okay, so there's a hump. Do you think
But-
that's just because of the way they poured the foundation?
It might be.
Okay. You don't typically see them rise up. It's more.
It's more
Okay.
down. Yes.
Good to know.
And then you can feel the hump, but you can't feel this
those.
slope.
Okay.
Because if you walk in, you own this house?
Yeah, we're selling it.
You said it.
Yep.
Do you used to live here or
No.
anytime?
Nope.
You just bought it.
Just bought it, flipped it. Yep.
Because you don't know. You just know about this,
That's it.
and we don't know if they poured some.
If they poured something there, yeah.
Because there's a lot of like steps.
Okay. There's 3 elevations in the house.
Three
Yeah.
elevations.
Yep.
Yeah, it might be in the. No, this is foundation and goes down.
Yeah,
It wasn't made like that before. But like we said, 70 years ago, 50 years ago, they didn't have perfect levels.
Okay.
They might have it shift a little bit.
Okay.
But if you say you don't have any, there's no cracks in the walls.
No, and we didn't repair any. All we did was paint it. We didn't repair anything.
And the first sign is this. It cracks here and it cracks there, but this might be just the brick, but not in the front.
So you don't see anything on the yeah, because we didn't have any drywall or anything cracked.
Yeah, and,
No, and the doors are the same they're original. We just painted them.
you just painted it. And no cracks when you bought the house with the previous owner. Nothing.
And nothing big. I mean, there's no like
No.
exterior
Big,
cracks.
Right.
And all they did was
didn't say that they had foundation work done before.
not that I know of. No.
You can see the bricks go straight.
Yep.
But if we level this side, it's gonna break.
Yeah.
It might break. But we're just lifting one side and the other not.
And the other not. Yeah, because the bricks are okay.
They look straight to me too.
Yeah, me too. Okay, well, I guess give us your recommendation, and if you were to level it, your cost, but also what your overall recommendation of doing.
Yes, okay.
Leave it or wait a couple years, and then if you had to fix it, how much that would.
How much it's gonna be? Okay. What's in that quote?
Okay.
All right, sir.
Hey, thank you so
you.
much. So as you saw there, now that we got the second opinion and we have a reference point over here, basically this entire section of the house, all of this in here was within tolerance, as they say, a ½ inch or more. But that front and then the side over there was, you know, 1.7, 1.8 inches. But here's what he ran me through. And I have a little bit of video of it. You know, he was explaining it and I wanted to make sure that I caught it on video. But he comes out and he's just looking and he's like, did you guys repair all these bricks out here? Hey, the first structural engineer, he asked us the same questions. We're like, no, we didn't repair any bricks. He goes, man, there's no cracks anywhere. He goes, you're typically gonna see them right here, like massive cracks. And then he gets down like this. He goes, all your bricks are straight. I don't see any cracks. There's not even really any cracks in the foundation. He goes, I think if you jack this thing up in the corner where they're saying right here and go up 2 inches, he's like, I think it's just gonna buckle in half. I think you're just gonna crack everything. He goes, I wouldn't touch this property. So I'm like, all right, cool. I said, why don't you do this? If you had to fix this, send me a report of how much it would cost, right? And so going through, you know, his report, he sends it all in that day. And it comes back that basically they would only need about 19 piers. And a little bit obviously on the inside, and then that would be 7,800. Let me show you here. So what he basically said, and you guys already kind of saw this, but a 7,800 for foundation piers, a lifetime warranty, and then you see there break the bump and level with concrete, 2,500. So basically 7,800 to level it, and if you wanted to, an extra 2,500, they'd come in here, remove the tile, bust that out and flatten it. I don't know why the hell you would ever do that, but regardless, we were able to you know, show the buyers that and give them a second opinion, you know, on this whole thing. So what we had to do was negotiate. They wanted $20,000 off the price. They wanted, you know, $1,000 for sprinklers. They wanted a bunch of stuff, or they wanted us to fix the elevation, 35 grand, right? So this was gonna be something that cost us 40 something. And not only that, guys, if you start jacking up the house, guess what? all the tile breaks, all the freaking drywall, everything does, right? So it would have been a nightmare. But we are closing in 2 days. We do, you know, have a few things. Here's one thing that came up on the inspection. This is a gas fireplace, and when we first toured it, I came in, there was wood paneling here, and then we left for 3 days. We came back and they had already drywalled it. Well, apparently they drywalled over a gas valve right here for the gas stove. So we've got to cut into our drywall there and try and find one. But other than that, pretty minor. I will tell you, it was very emotional, you know, as the seller, especially your first flip, and then to have a massive structural, you know, foundation issue like that. But man, the resources that we have in our corner with, you know, Joe Hard Money, my real estate agent, Joe, I know so many Joes out there, and then my contractor, you know, my contractor actually played a big role in this too. Was very confident in like, look, I've been in a lot of these houses. This foundation is not jacked up. You need to get other people out there. So I think, you know, having those resources on our side was just such a blessing. And now I'm here just doing a couple touch-up items, and they want to close it ASAP. They're doing cash, so this is going to be like a 2-week close. So hopefully we got our money by the end of the week, and we have been touring properties left and right. So growing this real estate investment business from the ground up, and our goal, you know, is to get to probably 20 flips this year, if not more. So that's one thing. If you're in the Houston, Texas market, and you've got any off-market properties, I don't care how bad they are, and you don't want them, you know, send them in to us, because we'll highlight them here on the YouTube channel. So, and also, if you're struggling to figure out how much, you know, you should be putting into budgets, fix and flips, hard money lending, always down in my description and in the pinned comment is a free flip calculator, hard money calculator. Check it out. It's a lot of fun to play with. And if you would, I'm really pouring a lot into these videos. I am documenting basically my entire life doing this investing. Hit that like button. That is what helps these videos to get out there to more people. So if you would, hit that like button. And if you haven't seen this video right here, I would check this out. This is when we actually go through the flip. We write down our plans. We go through the entire budget with a contractor. If you're looking to get into fix and flips, this video right here will explain everything on how to get started and to design it and the budget.